as you guys are no doubt aware, Black Beacon has been the subject of repeated attacks and, for the most part, general incompetence. And players have very negatively received the Chinese exclusive compensation. That was the free 5-star character, followed by the 2030 limited pulls. Global did not get the 2030 limited pulls. Global did not get the free 5-star selector. Players were upset. The official Black Beacon Twitter account went completely silent for an entire week. I believe that this was with regards to, or the reason for this was due to the Chinese holiday that was going on. But, and hear me out here, okay, the publisher, the global team that was handling the global version, were not only holding community events, but they were also regularly tweeting every single day that this, Chinese holiday was going. So players saw this as a betrayal and a lie, because, I mean, let's be honest here, if you're a global studio, you're there exclusively to address global, not to address China. China has its own publisher, handles everything in its own way. So players were very upset. This was entirely warranted. There was mass hysteria all over social media. Lots of different content creators started covering the drama, because just there was nothing, no communication whatsoever. And it seemed like, for the most part, the Black Beacon devs were just ignoring global players, and they showed a severe amount of favoritism to Chinese players. I myself got ignored by the Chinese devs and by the global team as well for the entirety of the last 7 days, for the whole of the holiday, and for the day before the holiday too. Even though they had responded to me very frequently within hours every single day for the last couple months. Now, that's perfectly fine. What I think, and hear me out here, I have a little bit of a theory. I think that Global had the ability to address the situation, but they didn't because they weren't allowed to. Global has no control over anything. Rather, what the only thing they could do was say, hey, China, can we say we're sorry? And can we tell them that we're looking into addressing the issue? And because China was on holiday, they didn't say anything. They just ignored the global studio, the global team that was in charge of publishing the game globally. So that's what I think, because my experience with the global team has been nothing but perfect. So to see that doing like a full 180, it blew my mind. I couldn't fathom why that was the case. This, I think, is the only reasonable explanation for this. In spite of that, what this means is that if this is in fact true, Global has no control over anything, and they are always going to be overpowered, overruled by what China wants and what Chinese players want. And Chinese players will always receive preferential treatment. That's just what I think. That is what I think. That might not be the case, and I do apologize in advance if that is not the case, but that is how it feels, and I know a lot of other people are thinking the same thing. Okay, it has gone up a little bit. The Black Beacon rating has gone up a little bit. So earlier today, or last night rather, before they made that announcement, this is what Black Beacon's rating was. 1.9. That was the rating. That was the lowest it had ever dipped, and that is because people were furious. But it increased from 1.9 to 2.0. It has seen a marginal increase over the last 12 hours. Them addressing the situation has done very little to impact the public reviews and public perception of it based off of the Google Play Store. Based off of this, you can see that they have lost a lot of trust with players, and a lot of players have just given up and are no longer interested. Now let's go ahead here and take a look at just a couple days ago. An event was launched in China that allowed for Chinese players to obtain standard pulls, premium gems. This was a Chinese exclusive event that global players did not receive access to. Now, this is, people are saying that this is due to China needing to catch up to global, and that very well might be the case, sure. But at the time, when you were favoring China, launching a Chinese exclusive event like this was not a good look for your game. Then Chinese players actually began to emphasize with global players. They started seeing the compensation that players got globally as inferior, insignificant, really terrible even. This person here, this Chinese player, even goes on to claim that global is definitely a lower level server. Lower level server, chat. That is unbelievable. 13 hours ago at 1:04 a.m. or I think actually the original tweet was made at midnight and then it was edited at 1 in the morning. A tweet was made by Black Beacon after a week of silence, and players are they're very conflicted. Some players are very happy that they've addressed the issue. Some players are very unhappy that it took them an entire week to address it. And then you have some players that are in the middle here that just believe the entire thing is a massive shitstorm. They have shown absolute distrust and disloyalty to their players, and this is going to happen again in the future because they are always going to prioritize China. So players are very upset. Let's take a look at exactly what was said though. Before we go any further, I do want to take a moment here to thank all of my incredible patrons over on Patreon and my YouTube channel members who allow for me to continue to do dedicated videos like this every single day. You guys are absolutely phenomenal, and I genuinely cannot thank you all enough for the support. I want to begin with a sincere acknowledgement. Your voices have been heard and we take your feedback seriously, which I appreciate. Following the launch of Black Beacon in China on April 28th, we received strong feedback from our global community regarding differences in compensation between regions. We understand your frustration and we deeply regret the confusion and concerns that this has caused. Black Beacon is developed by Mingzhou Studio and published separately across regions by Glowhow for the global service and Tian City for China. Due to this structure, each region addressed its launch independently. While the circumstances and responses may have differed, we recognize that the significant rewards issued during the China server's launch caused many global players to feel a sense of relative deprivation and disappointment. That's putting it lightly. Players were disappointed. Players were livid. They were having a physical meltdown. That was never our intention, and we take these concerns seriously. It just took us a week to address them, that's all. We want to be clear, this is not an attempt to shift responsibility. Good. I think they need to take responsibility here, but to offer context. More importantly, it is a moment for us to learn and do better. Having said that, all three parties, Mingzhou Studio, Glowhow, and Tian City, have discussed this matter thoroughly and reached a shared agreement on all the following points. Wait, hold on. It took 3 different companies. I'm sorry, but that's kind of laughable to me. Okay, no offense. I appreciate that they did this, but it's kind of hilarious to me that it took 3 different companies to sit down and say, you know what? Yeah, that's kind of unfair. 3 companies. No, the global publisher couldn't be like, oh, you know what? Yeah, players are very upset that they did not receive what China received. Let's just give them that. No, they had to sit down with the Chinese publisher, then they had to sit down with the Chinese developer, and then after thorough brainstorming, did they finally come to the conclusion that yes, they should synchronize rewards 1 for 1. Free 5-star selector, free 5-star selector for every region involved. I'm sorry, that's hilarious that that's the case. But it's great that they did that nonetheless, that they reached a shared agreement. Global compensation alignment. Unified rewards across regions. We've conducted a review of all rewards distributed on both global and China servers up to May 5th, and any discrepancies will be corrected. Fantastic to hear. Moving forward, all servers will follow a unified global compensation plan to ensure fairness regardless of service region. For global server compensation, please refer to the details below. A 20 limited pull, 5-star permanent character selector, claimable from the 6th of May to the 30th. So we have 24 days to redeem this only. That, dude, we should get a full year to redeem stuff, just like in WoWA. Is that just me that feels that way? Because originally we had like 2 days, or was it 4 days to redeem it? Because now we do have another 24 days, but I still feel like that's not a whole lot of time. I think the item is permanent. You only have 24 days to obtain it. So the item itself does not expire, but the ability to actually acquire the item does expire within 24 days. No, it's 6 days it is? Where does it say that? The ability to acquire expires in 6 days? Doesn't it expire on the claimable period from the 6th until the 30th? Oh, you can only claim it within 6 days in game, in the mail. Oh shit, that sucks. So if you log in and you don't realize it expires within 6 days, god damn, it says so in the mailbox? Okay, interesting. No, they need to expand that. They definitely need to elongate that. That sucks. You have 24 days to actually acquire it from now, and then you have 6 days to actually read and claim it in your mail, and then after that, it's unobtainable. That's a bit of a problem. Yeah. Gratitude reward. As a gesture of sincere appreciation for your continued patience and support, all players across regions will receive additional rewards in addition to compensation above. Oh, okay. Okay, so they're like, I see what this is for. I see what this is for. So China got shit that we didn't get, and then Global wanted what China got. So then the global publishers decided, okay, let's give Global what China got. So now, to not make China upset, they've decided to give both China and Global an additional 5 limited, an additional 5 standard. Again, this is claimable for, you know, another 24 days from now. But I appreciate the additional polls, but I know what this is for. This is so Chinese players don't get too angry. This is a way of saying, oh, don't worry, China. Don't worry. Here are some additional free polls just for you. That's okay. I will take it. Important note. Both the unified rewards across regions and the gratitude reward will be distributed on May 6th. Note that a disconnection may occur at the time of distribution. If you're disconnected from the game, simply log in again to access your mailbox and claim the reward. Wait, hold on. You can't just send the mail? Wait, you can't just send the mail? You're gonna disconnect everyone? Just randomly disconnect? There's not gonna be any update. You're just like, okay, click the button. Okay. Sure, that's gonna be fun. I wonder if there was at least a warning. Are you gonna warn people like, hey, I have like a notification in game saying we're gonna be issuing rewards. Please don't like begin any stages or engage in anything that you might lose progress in. So players at least know not to start something at the time of distribution. Because that's hilarious. Imagine playing the game or doing a poll, and then like mid-poll, right? You get just disconnected. What did I get? Cross-regional coordination. Stronger publishing collaboration. Mingzhou Studio, Glowhao, and Tian City have agreed to a shared communication protocol across publishing partners to prevent similar misalignments in the future. So it took Global, us as global players, chat, us as global content creators, to cause the mess that we did, to raise our voices in unison, to force everyone involved to open lines of communication. They weren't even communicating. They weren't even talking before this. Wow! But thanks to all of us being vocal about our discontent, they decided that they were going to now have this open form of communication with everyone to make sure that they don't go off track again. Faster response and communication. We recognize that our initial response took too long. Good, it did. It took an entire fucking week. That killed your player base. It absolutely destroyed every semblance of a community that you have. But not just that, if you go onto Discord, you'll see it's still pretty much entirely unmoderated. I kid you not when I say this, okay? Because people have even sent me, I was there, and I witnessed some absolutely disgusting comments, community conversations that were going on. Now, don't get me wrong, a lot of the community that I've seen have been very nice. I've met so many incredibly friendly and passionate players on the Discord, but I can guarantee you those same people will tell you the same thing that I'm about to tell you right now. The Discord being unmoderated in the form that it is in has bred this disgusting level of just insane depravity in the worst way. But I think, yeah, their response definitely took too long. But it's not just a response, their community has exploded and also simultaneously imploded onto itself, and that definitely needs to be addressed and looked into. To address this, we are establishing a dedicated team focused on improving the speed and clarity of official updates moving forward. Okay, that is really good. That right there is very good. I hope that some of these people are going to be involved on the Discord channel, because that is your official form of communication with your community. Yeah, it was Labor Week. There was a holiday going on, yep, but at the same time, you know, global has to be available for global players. They can't just, you know, not be available during Chinese holidays and Chinese events. That's the purpose of having a global team dealing with global. Looking forward. We sincerely appreciate your continued support and love for Black Beacon. We know the situation has shaken trust. No, I wish it had just shaken trust, chat. Every single content creator, with the exception of like 3, and every single person I've pretty much spoken to have not just had shaken trust in the game, they've lost all trust. Completely. We do not take that lightly. Trust is not restored through words alone, but through consistent action. And I appreciate that they acknowledge this, because this is still a great first step to restoring their reputation and restoring the trust with the community. I do think this is a fantastic first step. We're committed to transparency, cross-region fairness, and creating a more unified experience for seers around the world. And that is literally all you needed to say day one. That is literally, that one line right there is all you needed to say day one. When the issues happened, you just needed to not care and just say it. That's it. You just needed to just openly admit, we want a fair game for everyone. And Global would have been okay with that. If you said this, Global players would have waited. They wouldn't have all quit. They would have waited. They would have given you the time that you needed to sort this out. But it was the lack of this right here, this reply, that caused it. Thank you for holding us accountable. I mean, that's our responsibility as players, right, chat? Mingzhou Studio, Tian City, and Glowhow. Oh, so wait, so this wasn't Glowhow. This wasn't the Global Studio that wrote this up. This was all 3 of them. A combination of all 3. Okay, let's see what people are saying. Despite the global side of things having a stain in their mouths, this was a solid update. I do agree. I do agree it was a fun update. You guys already showed your true colors. You see Global as nothing but second class. This is too late. Step in the right direction, but a lot of goodwill has been lost already. Updating the rewards to match what the other servers got is fine and all, but you basically killed any goodwill the community would give you. The community has now been told that the only way you'll listen is if they make such a massive fuss about it that you're forced to do something. And every time you fuck up, the backlash is gonna be extreme. You know, that's not wrong. But you know what? Let's not look at these. Let's actually look at what our community is saying, chat, okay? Because we're a big community here. Okay, I'm curious what our community on Reddit and Twitter is saying about this. Then I'm going to ask all of you, and I'm gonna pull up a chat and see what you guys think, okay? So let's see. The fact that 3 parties need to discuss what should we treat global players the same as the Chinese one doesn't give me confidence in the game. It's too late for me. I cut ties with the game after they blocked an emulator. Too much damage has been done. It is too late. All the crying paid off. They come out on day one said, due to publishing side of things, we cannot at the moment grant the same compensation. Similar will be provided with more info soon. A lot of this could have been avoided. The radio silence hurt them so much. Hope this doesn't get so bad again. I guess we'll see how the game goes from here and if they can earn back players' trust. Don't thank them for fixing a problem that they caused with their outright showing of favoritism of China. This is way too late. Damage has been done. You're going to invest your time and money into a company that'll clearly stab you the second you let your guard down. How long did it take for them to notice their global wallet? Nah, Stix, that's GG. To be honest, the whole world was smart enough through language barriers and distance to see something was off. If one of their teams didn't think 1 inch from their nose before making a move like that when launching a global game to all players, it's GG. We won, but at what cost? They wouldn't have treated global players like garbage before I would have had hope. This is just sorry to look at. Damage is already done. Why did it take this long? Isn't it too late for this? I'm good playing Wuwa. I told so many people. Yeah. Okay, so so our Twitter, evidently the community on Twitter, our community on Twitter, is very heavily of the opinion that, nah, dude, we done. We good. Okay, let's see. Chat, I want you right now to say whether or not you think the game is saved. Just right now. All I need you to do is say yes, the game is saved, or no, the game is not saved. That is it. That is all you need, chat. Is it saved, yes or no? This is over 500 people, by the way. Almost 400 on YouTube, over 100 on Twitch. Judging by what we just saw all over my Twitter, in the dozens of replies, all saying no. The hundreds of people all saying no in the comments right now. I would go out on a limb and say, I think it is a great step in the right direction, but this is far from being a game that has a game-saving move. Because I know there are definitely people out there that say that this has been saved at this point and that is exactly what they needed and exactly what we wanted. I think it is a great step in the right direction, but right now it is too late. I think the damage has definitely been done, but I do think they can recover. I just don't think that they'll ever achieve the success that they would have achieved had they not fucked up like this first. I know you think that you just hit the end of the video, and technically, yeah, you have. And I know your first reaction is to close out of it at this juncture, but don't. No, instead, I urge you to take a moment here and click one of the videos on screen that are coming up in just a moment so you remain up to date with everything going on in the gacha genre. Trust me, you are not going to regret doing so. Stay flaccid.